Everyone hears landslide emergency in MOLISE and thinks the same thing. A slope that moved, some roads closed, a few days of disruption. But that is not what is happening at Petacciato. Right now, the main railway line between Milan and Lecce is running at reduced speed over a track that deformed by 10 centimeters during the crisis. The A14 motorway connecting Bologna to Taranto is carrying traffic on a single lane in each direction. And the €40 million project designed to prevent this from happening again has not started. Because after the April reactivation revealed the slope is deeper than anyone had measured, the project needs to be redesigned from scratch before a meter of it is built. The government called it a record time response. Matteo Salvini visited Petacciato, thanked the technicians and workers who had restored Statale motorway and railway faster than anyone expected. Over 100 people and 40 vehicles had worked through the night. The A14 reopened April 9th with a single lane. The railway followed the morning after. In 4 days, a corridor that had been severed had a pulse again. The Adriatic corridor is not one infrastructure the way most people picture it. It is 3: motorway, railway, and national road, running side by side through a coastal hillside in Molise that has been moving intermittently for over a century. When the slope reactivates, all 3 close simultaneously. That is not a coincidence of geography. It is the geography. And the corridor is open right now on the condition that the slope beneath it does not accelerate. The monitoring sensors are measuring it in real time. If the readings change, the closures are automatic. Nicola Casagli, president of OGS and one of Italy's foremost landslide scientists, described what the sensors had shown during the crisis: a horizontal displacement of 1.5 meters in the lower sector, where the motorway and railway run, roughly the distance from the driver's seat to the passenger door of a parked car. Vertical movement toward the town reached almost 2 meters. And Casagli said something in Petacciato's town hall that changes how this whole story reads. The slope had proved deeper than previously understood. The €40 million mitigation project would need to be aggiornato e riorientato, updated and reoriented, not because it was poorly designed, perhaps because the April reactivation revealed a landslide the pre-existing geological models had not fully captured. Domenico Racconati, 53, from Bisceglie, has been missing since the Trigno Bridge collapsed on April 2nd. Only his license plate was recovered, snagged on vegetation near a bridge pillar, found on April 3rd. His daughter Angelica asked the state not to stop looking. On April 7th, at around 9:30 in the morning, the sensors on the A14 embankment registered anomalous movement. The motorway closed first. Within hours, the railway followed. The track monitors had recorded 10 centimeters of deformation. The SS-16 came down simultaneously. The entire corridor went dark in less than 24 hours. Cyclone Erminio had deposited more than 200 millimeters of rain in the 24 hours before that. Roughly 3 months of average rainfall in a single day. The slope did not fail because of extraordinary rainfall. It reactivated because accumulated water pressure in the clay layers finally exceeded the resistance of the ground. That is what Petacciato does. It has done it at least 9 times in a century. The landslide front runs for approximately 2 kilometers. Its depth ranges from 25 meters in the upper sector to 80 meters or more in the lower zone. The height of a 25-story building pressing down through the hillside toward the Adriatic. The €50 million state of emergency declared April 9th covered Abruzzo, Molise, Basilicata, and Puglia. Against that, the €40 million mitigation project, announced by the Molise regional government in 2021 as imminent, tendered in December 2025. Not yet awarded when the slope moved. The Trigno Bridge will take at least 7 to 8 months to rebuild, according to Fabio Siciliano, head of civil protection, probably longer. Salvini said it would be restored by the end of the year. He did not specify which year. Once you understand what the 40 million euros were actually designed to do, the problem stops sounding like a funding gap and starts sounding like a physical limit. The project is a specification produced by Technital, a firm from Verona. 12 large diameter drainage wells connected to horizontal and vertical drains bored to depths of several dozen meters. Simone Venturini, technical director, described the logic in precise terms. Togliere il lubrificante, remove the lubricant, lower the water table, reduce interstitial pressure, and the clays recover resistance. The wells do not stop the slope. They extend the interval between reactivations. That is what the project promises, not resolution, but time. But the technical report admits that the wells will not reach the deepest slip surface. The shear zone at Petacciato runs from 25 meters near the top to 60 or 80 meters at the base of the lower sector, where the railway and motorway sit. The drainage wells are designed to intercept the shallower and intermediate aquifer layers. The primary slip surface, the one that generated the 1.5 meter horizontal displacement in April 2026, lies below the design depth. So the 40 million euros were never a permanent fix. They were designed to buy time on a corridor that cannot be rerouted. And now, because the April reactivation revealed the slope is deeper than the project had modeled, the project itself needs to be revised before any of it is built. The monitoring network at Petacciato, inclinometers, piezometers, surface displacement sensors, had been installed because the slope was known to be active. When the rains came, it caught the movement before visible damage appeared. The closure protocols fired automatically. The corridor was cleared before the displacement reached its worst point. Casagli said the 9 previous reactivations were not monitored like this one. The April dataset is the most precise picture anyone has ever had of how this landslide moves. That monitoring system worked exactly as it was designed to work. And in working correctly, it produced data that makes the redesigned project more complex, not less. The Petacciato landslide reactivated at least 9 times in 100 years. Each time, the corridor reopened. In March 2015, the last major reactivation before April 2026, 3 homes in the Borgo Vecchio were demolished because the ground beneath them had moved too far to allow occupation. The old municipal building, the Vecchio Municipio, sustained structural damage severe enough to require immediate closure. 11 years later, in April 2026, that building was still standing with those damage marks on its facade, unrepaired, still tagged as compromised. A physical record of where the slope had been in 2015, while the plans to prevent the next reactivation were written, revised, announced, and eventually published as a tender in December 2025. The Corte dei Conti, Italy's public auditing authority, tracks the average gap between project announcement and construction completion across the national landslide risk portfolio. Its figure, 5 years. At Petacciato, the gap between the 2021 announcement and the December 2025 tender was 4 years. The 2026 reactivation happened inside that window. Inside the average, the national auditor had already documented as typical for exactly this kind of project. Antonello Fiore, president of SEGIA, the Italian Society of Environmental Geology, put it plainly. The administrative and planning system is structurally incapable of keeping pace with the speed at which disasters manifest. The case of Petacciato, he said, is emblematic. The risk was known. The funds were allocated. The work was not done in time. The image to hold is simple. A train moving slowly on the morning of April 10th on a track that had deformed in the days before. Moving because the sensors were reading within acceptable thresholds. Moving precisely because those thresholds were being watched in real time by a system that had worked exactly as designed, and that, in working exactly as designed, had produced data requiring the intervention beneath that track to be rebuilt from scratch before construction begins. There is a particular kind of corridor that a national transport axis crossing a century-old active landslide produces, one where the emergency response activates correctly. The monitoring functions as intended, the roads reopen in days. And the condition for all of it staying open is that the geology cooperates with the timeline the procurement system runs on. The Petacciato slope is still there. The mitigation project must be redesigned using data that this reactivation produced. The works have not started. The Ferrovia Adriatica is open. Trains pass at reduced speed on a track that moves with the landslide. The condition for keeping the line running is that the slope does not accelerate. The slope has not stopped. If this story is worth telling, subscribe. We cover more of these every week.